Good morning. This is Dr. Lori Baudino.
And Coach Derek.
And we're here with Sports Parents Are Us, where we talk about keeping your kids in youth sports and how to motivate them in the game, and the parenting philosophies behind it, the language, the stance, and any of the questions that you offer us each week. So thank you again for being with us. My website is drloribaudino.com, and I provide support for children and families in private practice, from anything from parenting challenges to, I'm sorry, I'm losing my words because there's words coming into my computer. Okay. So anything from daily challenges to children on the autism spectrum, those children with sensory processing disorders, anxiety, depression, and then I'm also at Children's Hospital where I provide therapy at bedside with children with terminal illness, mostly cancer, blood diseases, and just really looking at a mind-body approach, not just sitting with a child and talking about these issues, but supporting where these experiences happen in our body, how to identify triggers, and help support the parent and child dynamic and relationship.
Love it. And I'm Coach Derek. I've been doing this for about 26 years, and when I say doing this, I mean teaching children how to play sports. We start... our philosophy is, if your child's going to try to play a sport, then I want them to try it with me. I want to be their first coach, just to help kind of build that foundation and put them on the right track. And Dr. Lori and I got together because there's a lot of issues surrounding the family unit as it pertains to sports. And we're here to help, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely. So last week we talked about when enough is enough. So knowing when you're pressuring your child or if there seems to be a perseverance or a persistence that's needed.
So check out the last one. Yeah.
And so today's topic, we're going to talk about some of those very familiar to myself as a psychologist and Coach Derek out on the field, the signs of what's happening in your child's body when there's certain movements or behaviors that you see, and what does it really mean? And what should you do about them? So we kind of looking at behaviors versus a need. What's really going on, and what you can do as a parent.
Now, when I'm running a class, and it could be soccer, t-ball, basketball, football, tennis, whatever the sport may be, there tends to be, and I'm not going to say all the time, but sometimes, a lot of times actually, there's always that child that's just kind of picking flowers. They are tracing in the dirt. Right? Now, mom and dad are like, he or she, they love it. I know they want to play baseball. We rock it out all the time in the backyard or at the park. And for whatever reason, they get here and it's flower picking city.
It looks different.
It looks different.
Yeah. And I remember, and I think I've said this before, but I remember one of our first lectures we gave for parents, and they said, my child doesn't pay attention. And we were laughing, and I was saying, they are amazing at focusing. Amazing at focusing on those flowers and picking, playing in the dirt, drawing their artwork. And so that is attention. But that's something that we want to look at. How do we get that type of child motivated? So when we see a child and they're focusing on all these other experiences around them in their environment, some of the things we might do, I'm going to just jump right into saying what we should do. And then we'll move to another type of child. But I'm going to look at how can I incorporate a time for that. So setting that child up for success. So I might get them to the field ahead of time before practice starts. And have them have some opportunity to explore nature. Help them see how many flowers we're going to pick, where in the field they're going to stand, what's going on, what's the kind of playing field look like today.
Right.
So just getting them acquainted to their environment.
Because they've already picked the flowers.
Yeah, but then also letting them know verbally, like, what is your expectation? What are you going to try to do today to focus on the coach?
Love it.
And so I might help them start to look at, like, what is the coach's face doing? Like, let's look at the coach's eyes. Let's look at the coach's mouth.
Okay.
Let's watch our friend Bobby over there and how many times he can pass to you. So I'm going to give them other visual things to look at. So taking some amazing skill that they have for their eyes and looking at their surroundings and how to direct it into the sport.
Love those. Those are great ideas. Now, as a coach, a couple of tips that I would throw out there would be keep it moving, right? I mean, you got to know your audience.
Quick transition.
You got to know your audience.
Yeah.
So you have to have a lot of transitions, but being quick in those transitions is important. And the child that you see that's doing the flower picking or tracing in the dirt, let them decide the next activity, right?
So
give them an opportunity, right? So now they're doing. Now the team's doing what they suggested. They're not going to be all picking. Well, we hope they don't suggest picking flowers, right?
Yeah. I love that because it also allows them to have some meaning behind it.
Yeah.
A lot of times these kids are processing the information that's coming in, and while they're processing, they're focusing on whatever's helping them stay calm and regulated while the information is coming in. And so by giving them the ability to like execute this and take over, you're saying then they're right there and they're initiating this idea.
Exactly.
They don't have to sit back and wait.
Calming themselves and regulating themselves is huge. And I'm glad you brought that up because the child's not intentionally blowing off the coach or ticking off the parents. They didn't wake up today and go, you know what, this is what I'm going to do at the next soccer practice. Right? It's not premeditated.
Absolutely.
There's a reason why they're doing it.
Absolutely.
And it's up to us to figure that out.
Right. And I do have to say, I think it's very common for parents and adults to think that a kid can't listen and do something else at the same time. And I don't know about you all, but I can do that. I can be actually doing a couple things at the same time. I know research says our brain is not able to multitask multiple things at the same time. We are able to do it, but it's not as efficient. So I think we have to be more accurate when we tell our kids, it's just not efficient. You are listening to me, but I also need you to look at me too, or those kind of things. So just know that they're not trying to ignore you when they're standing at the ground. So another kid. We have this other kid about the kid that's goofing off, extra silly, really kind of pushing the buttons, rocking the boat at practice. Everyone's laughing at them. They've got all their peers engaged, but the coach is getting frustrated. So,
what is that about? Why is it? Obviously we know it's some kind of defense, right? I'm going to make a joke out of this, get everyone to like me, get everyone to laugh at me. Is it most, because I come from this place of they're just scared to try that task, right?
It's definitely a possibility.
Okay.
I have to say, I mean, to make it very simple, I mean, how amazing is it when you have a live audience ready and watching you and at your, at your response? Like they're laughing at you.
I mean, what comedian doesn't want that?
Right? Yeah. And these kids have the same shtick every week. They know the things at work. They know what makes their friends laugh. It's probably the same thing that happened last week. It's probably the same joke.
Right.
But let's put it into perspective. They came from a long day of school. A lot of these schools have big expectations where they sit still. They can't do certain things at certain times. Then they're transitioning in the car. They have to, talk to the parents, and then here they are on the field in nature with all their buddies. So, let's think about how can we incorporate this silly playfulness into the sport.
First thing that comes to mind is allowing a time, giving them that space
To make it a little fun.
Let's get goofy.
Yeah.
It's goofy time, and then it's going to be base running time. It's goofy time, then it's going to be passing time. You know what I mean?
Right.
So give them the stage.
Right. The other thing that might come up is that child getting enough positive response or noticing their effort? So if a child's needing that much support, I might be wondering underneath that, do they feel safe and secure right now? Do they feel supported, appreciated? Do they feel like they're being seen? And how can we support them to feel seen without them feeling like they have to be the clown? Yeah,
I tell you, it's amazing because this literally just happened to me yesterday in a class where, the child was becoming the goofy clown. And I kind of whispered in his ear. I didn't make it a big thing in front of the whole class, but I was like, I just want you to try it. Because I could feel him already setting up in his mind that he's not going to be able to hit this ball.
Oh, okay.
He's just not going to be able to do it. So instead of saying,
this is going to be challenging.
I just don't think I can do it. Right. It's let me put the ball on my head. Right. Let me put the bat on top of somebody else's head. Right. Whatever that case may be.
Like if I might get laughed at for that, maybe I can control what I'm being laughed about.
Exactly. Exactly. So it really does become that moment for the coach and or the parent, right? To say, hey, let's just give it a try and see what happens. Kind of taking that pressure off, right? This is no big deal. It's not a big deal.
Right. I do see a lot of parents, even like during games and stuff, yelling at their kid, like, stop goofing off. And I think that it then tells the child to be rigid and hold their body stiff and freeze almost.
Absolutely.
We actually want them to keep moving. And something that's so positive about the silly goofiness is there is an active process about it.
That's true.
So that's why I want to say, like you're saying to this kid, let's try it. Let's keep moving. You're not saying stop. You're just saying, okay, let's take that and channel it this way.
Absolutely. You know, given those kind of commands, at least for me in my experience, doesn't really have a real effect.
Right.
You know, telling them to stop, no, stop, no.
Right. Yeah, so I mean,
Doesn't
something
really serve
as simple as what I do with kids is when I'm telling them to communicate to each other, it's like, what do you want them to do? So instead of saying stop goofing off, I would be like, hey, let's throw it faster. Hey, let's move over here.
Exactly.
Let's see how you can move your arms really fast. I see you moving them. So like, what can they do?
Right.
Yeah. All right. So
the next one.
The next one. This is a wide range. So. We're talking about the kids that fidget a lot, whether it's as simple as minimal as like picking nails and fidgeting, or there's some extra movement qualities that happen. You know, we have some kids that have the self-stimulatory behavior, so a way of coping in their environment, they might start to move their bodies in certain ways.
Right.
And that could be as severe as they see it in lots of different environments, or it could be as much as there's as actual emotional experience they're having on the field, and now this anxiety kind of movement comes up. So lots of different range of this, but I think the piece to look at is are you seeing some motoric movements in your child that you don't tend to see when they're outside of this sport?
And they're exactly
Very,
kind of in their own environment.
Very subtle. You know, it could be extra head kind of movements or shoulder jerks. It could be fingers moving. I see a lot of rolling wrists.
And this is something that
really gestural stuff
that we would equate to biting our fingernails.
It can be. It can be. I mean, I think it's about knowing your child. But what I like to do is give these children, similar to these other examples, but it just works is what it comes down to. It's just giving them other things they can do.
Yes.
You know, noticing these ways of being and priming the child of what to expect beforehand helps them feel successful.
That's huge.
So they know where should our hands be.
Huge.
Giving their hands some deep input, kind of giving themselves some support to their bodies, kind of feel supported.
Let me tell you what's embarrassing. Is sitting in the stands and screaming at your child to stop biting your shirt. Or stop playing with your hands.
Yeah.
I mean, could you imagine we as adults, like if you and I walked into a room and it was a dinner party, and we had lots of friends and family there, and you screamed at me across the table, telling me to stop biting my nails. I mean, how would that feel good?
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's like we forget that it wouldn't feel good.
Right. So we might take that moment, and I think this is hard. I see this as well in my own children at times, and I think, like, I got to tell that message to them. How do I remind them? So in my best moments, I can try to give a time where I can talk to them about, like, what's a code word or a gesture we can give each other. So say they do look over at me, you know, I can go like this, kind of shake out my hands.
Yes.
You know, I've heard some families give, like, you know, say like bananas, and they yell it, you know, those kind of things. But it's very individual, and I do recommend, you know, seeking support, talking to the coach about it, talking to a clinician or a developmental specialist that you work with. You're always welcome to contact me about these questions to kind of really find out what's going on for your child. Because these are things, unfortunately, as they continue, they become a habit, and it's a really tricky thing to stop.
Yeah.
It does sometimes change over time. As the child gets more comfortable, as they know what to do with their bodies, they don't do it as much.
Anxiety goes down.
The more they
And that's what we need to keep in mind. Like, we don't want to lose the fact that they're a little anxious. There's a reason why they're doing it. Right? If they don't do it all the time, and all of a sudden they're doing it when they walk up to the plate, or they're doing a penalty kick, then we need to be aware of the timing of it.
Right. Yeah, and I think just to clarify, I think anxiety is one of those becoming a buzz phrase because it's a huge diagnosis right now. It is in the rise. And so what I think about anxiety is, especially for sports, is that anxiety, these fidgeting and motor kind of movements, gestural kind of changes in the body, can actually occur because of anxiety. Like, I'm stressed, I don't feel comfortable, I feel like I'm in a fear response here, or like an anticipation of I don't know what's to come. Ooh. But it also can be because of the environment. It could be an over experience of like too much noise coming in, could be too many visual things coming in, it could be I'm processing 6 steps but I really developmentally can only process 2 steps at one time.
Right.
So all these different dynamics create a similar experience in the body.
Right.
And so it's just, I just want to clarify that, because
so
once we say anxiety, it doesn't have to be that I'm scared of this game.
Exactly.
It could be so many other experiences going on where the body physiologically feels stressed.
Makes sense.
And so I want to cope. And this is something that feels good to me when I do these movements, or my body does it. And oftentimes the kid really doesn't know they're doing it. And so we don't want to shame them. I do think it's helpful in the right setting to bring attention to it so they can start to self-monitor it.
But not the coach screaming from the sideline, stop playing with your hands.
Right, so it would be like, where should my hands be? Go grab the ball. You know, so you do these competing things. So like, I can't be holding the ball and putting my fingers in my mouth at the same time, if it was a sport with the ball. Or I can't have my hands ready to catch, or whatever it is, if I'm doing this.
Exactly.
So where can we put our bodies?
Exactly.
All right, so the last one we'll talk about today is, I know we kind of say these parents tell us about these negative attitudes. Like, my kid is like avoiding. Like, they're so excited to come. They want to be at your practice. They want to play this sport. They talk about it. They're at home practicing. But then when they get there, it's kind of like a little, it kind of comes across like an attitude. Like an attitude, right? Yeah.
Like, how can you play like this?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. So what happens on the field for you when you have those kiddos?
You know, it's funny. I've literally had the kids sitting down, and we do the sour face arm crossed.
So you're joining them.
And we're joining them. So we do it all together.
Yeah, so you're like, hey, what's
and
up?
we go, you know, can we play soccer like this? And all the kids are like, no, this is impossible. I said, but can we play like this? And we're like, yeah. So I kind of set that tone. But if I'm in the middle of a practice and all of a sudden there's a child that is just, I'm just going to say it. It's a bad attitude, right? He's distracting the group. There's a couple of things
to get frustrated.
Yeah, I mean, okay, well, let's go there. Let's say he or she is frustrated based on a task, right? So they've shot the ball 10 times and they just haven't made the basket.
Right.
Okay. Now, that situation, I will find success in all of the other things that they've done. Okay. Right? Yeah. They've gotten closer. Their jump's higher. The ball's projection is higher. Right. I mean, no matter what it is,
they kept doing it.
I will celebrate that. Got it. Okay, so that'd take the pressure off, actually making it go in.
Got it.
Right? Yeah. The other thing is giving them a certain limit, giving her a certain limit, and then pulling them off and working on some different things.
Great.
Right? Some technique, some technique stuff that will help them. The idea of them standing out there and shooting the ball 20 times and missing while they're on stage in front of everybody else, I try to steer away from that.
Right.
Because
I think I've seen you in practices before when I was a parent watching my child in your class, and coming back to this idea of like you would give them a task to even like if they had to watch or shadow another peer on the team, kind of like help that peer out. Right. Kind of become the leader or the helper, or kind of like have two kids watch each other and support each other versus the coach telling them.
Absolutely.
So you're giving them this awareness of like self-monitoring and also this modeling for each other.
And ownership.
Scaffolding ownership.
Yeah. So that can steer the attitude into a positive. Right. And then again, it kind of goes back to well, I tell you what, if you're not feeling the passing, you don't have to do the passing right now. Right. But let me know what you want to do next. Okay. And again, giving them the ownership and putting them almost in charge. Right.
And I think something that I'm hearing us saying, this overarching message of just that, because we're saying these aren't being done to be difficult, they're not doing it to be like, causing trouble to the other kids on the team.
Or upsetting the coach. I mean, that's
right,
just...
It's not personal.
It's not personal.
Right. And so if we look at it as, hey, this is a need that they're needing support with, we can kind of look more at these kids and say, I see you, and I'm seeing that this is not your typical self all the time.
Right.
And it might not even be every session. If we start saying you're always like this and you never do this and using these absolute words, that's basically all they get to be. So this way, we're saying, hey, I see that there's something going on here, and I'm going to help direct it towards what we can do to keep you motivated in sports.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we're going to finish up next week. We're actually going to continue this dialogue, but actually talking about your own parenting philosophy at home, how your child, what you believe in terms of how they're educated and taught, how they're disciplined, meaning to teach,
how they're motivated,
and then how do you have that dialogue with the coach? When is it okay, or how is it okay to express to the coach, hey, this is what really works for my kid?
Right.
Is that okay to tell your coach? Or do you have to support your kid to learn a different way of being when they're with the coach?
Right.
So kind of exploring those dynamics.
Next week.
That's great. All right, so tell us a little bit, where do we find you?
All right, CoachDerek.com, and Derek is D-E-R-E-K, and you can find all the stuff that's going to be popping off this summer, and you can always contact me via email, and I'm here to help.
That's great. And once again, it's drloribaudino.com is my website, and you can always follow me on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, and... Did I say that? Yeah. And
Facebook,
it's just
Instagram, Twitter.
Dr. Lori Baudino. So Dr. and then Lori Baudino. And please subscribe to my weekly Moving Moments. They're inspiring stories that share with you what movement and this mind-body approach looks like with children. And I think they're really beautiful stories.
They really are.
Kind of composites of real experiences. But hopefully that you all can learn from. And I often give just some free tips and tools on there as well. So thank you all for watching, and we hope you keep your kids motivated in sports.
Stay in the game.
Thank you.